3 tips for taking better portrait photography. Tip number 1, study the person's face when you're about to do portrait photographs. Learning the person's face is the deciding factor as it relates to the angle to use. There's such a thing as a person having a best side. A person may have a scar or a pimple on one side of the face and therefore may not want to capture that side of the face. Portrait photography is about capturing the details of the subject's face. This is what adds impact to the person's photo. If your desire is to specialize in portrait photography, then you will want to take time to meet the person before the shoot takes place, just to study the person's face and determine the best way to capture them. You can also do this by taking a few practice shots of them at different angles and view the digital photographs to determine your best approach. Tip number 2, be sure you have your lighting set up properly. Many photographers prefer natural light as opposed to artificial. The subject is usually the person that determines the sort of light based on if they will be inside or out. Setting the aperture to take up the slack of the camera's lack of definition will be needed when you're using natural light. You use the camera's settings to create your perfect portrait. And tip number 3, background. When taking shots in the studio, you will want to select a background that does not wash out the clothing, colors, and facial features. You want to have a background that has a clear distinction between your subject's face and the background. Your background should give life to the subject's features, not wash them away. Be sure not to select a background that is very busy and abstract. You want the subject to be the focal point of the portrait, not just one of the many images to look at. The following tips are the basics of taking great portrait photographs. These 3 tips are not end-all be-all and should not be taken as such. I suggest you visit a website like Amazon.com and purchase a few books on the art of portrait photography. Grab yourself 3 to 5 books on the subject and you'll start to see your skill increase as you take more photographs. To read more articles and get information like this, please visit reviewdslrcameras.com, reviewdslrcameras.com.